Okay, good evening. We are now here with Brenda Foreman. She is the current clerk of the courts here in Broward County, Florida. Good evening, clerk. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. Good evening to the both of you.
Good
All is
evening.
well.
All
Thank
is
you
well.
very much. And thank you for stopping by the Adams Brothers podcast. And we really appreciate you taking the time out to come by and speak with us.
Thank you.
So we'll get started. Tell us about, your education, how you became the clerk of the courts. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, let's start that I'm a Southern girl. I was born and raised in Troy, Alabama. Came up through the 60s, that the era that was back then. And I left Alabama in 76 and came to Florida, went to Miami. I stayed in Miami for quite some time, got married, had 3 children. Before I got married, before I had children, I was at Miami-Dade Community College maybe for 2 or 3 semesters, and then here come the babies. So I stopped going to college for quite some time to raise a family. Moved to Broward and decided to continue to do things in order to keep my family together. So now we're going to go toward the future. I married the prior clerk of courts. Politics was really never one of my pet peeves, but I always looked into it because of the way people have been treated, and whoever's been elected, you have to understand who you're voting for. So I always stayed on that end where I did my research on people when it came to politics, why you're running, who you're running, and all this stuff. So if you're not going to do what you want to say you're going to do, I would be one of the ones to say, well, I'm going to hold you accountable because I voted for you, but you're not doing what you say you're going to do. So when I married the prior clerk of the courts, at that particular point in time, he would come home and, just give me all kinds of information about the clerk's office, because I was a prior clerk. I used to work at the clerk's office, working, having a job, paying your bills, and whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So when he decided he was going to retire the calling, and because I'm a Christian, I'm a woman of God, and I do listen to the voice of the Lord. Good God Almighty, yes, I do. He said when he calls, he want to see who's going to answer. So when God made that call, I answered. And when I answered the call to run for the clerk of the courts, he said, I will be with you like I was with Moses, and I will never leave you nor forsake you, because you answered the call. So when I answered the call, not knowing what direction this was going to happen, got into the race. Then several months later, some other people jumped into the race along with me. And once again, the God Almighty said, I never leave you or forsake you, because when I put a word out, it's not going to come back to me void. And I won the election in August of 2016. I became the first African-American female to be sworn in as the clerk of the court and just to take the seat. He retired. So January 3rd of 2017, I was sworn in as the clerk of the courts. So being the clerk of the courts, prior to, doing that, yes, I went to Broward College. I went to Union Institute. I didn't finish. I have maybe just a few more credits to finish it out, but I will. I'm going to get there. But I don't think that was very important for me to say to finish, because you don't have to have a college degree to run for the clerk of the court. You don't have to have a college degree to run for a lot of offices unless you are an attorney and you want to become a judge. So that is not a qualification. If that qualification needs to be changed, or people want it to be changed, they have to go through the legislature and change the laws. All the laws has to be changed in order for that to say that you have to have a college degree to become the clerk of the courts. So, going through all of that, and I used to work for ChildNet. I used to work for the state attorney's office, and I was the CEO of B. Dixon Mortgage Company before the market crashed. I'm a realtor for the past 16 years. And being the clerk of the court, we have statutes that we have to follow. The statutes are being followed. No laws been broken. My office has changed the clerk of the courts, the way people look at it. it's just exciting, you know, to be the first African-American female to be the clerk of the court. And I don't take that lightly. And I do not take it at a point where, okay, it's a title, but that title is a title. Once I was called to run for this office, I became humble. And I'm still humble to this day.
Well, that's good to hear. And it's never too late to go back to college and finish up that degree and get that bachelor's or that associate's or whatever you had your sights on. So it's just stay the course, and it's always, it's never too late.
Never too late. Never.
Absolutely. So I'll go right on into my first question. Being that you are the first African-American female clerk of the courts, tell us about a challenge you faced as the clerk of the courts, and how did you overcome it?
Okay, the challenge that I have faced, and still being faced with it, because I am an African American and I am a female, and being a woman, that's always a challenge with a lot of people. No, you know, not saying you men, but you know, you guys, but we're women, and we're women just, you know, we're active. We can do multiple things, and being an African woman, and I love who I am. I tell people, I love who I am. I love who God created me to be. So being that's one challenge right there. And then being elected as the clerk of the court. And because I was elected the clerk of the court, a lot of people think and feel that that a woman or African American or a minority should not hold that position. But I'm still there by the grace of God. And that was a challenge. And just being focused on what God would have me to do, what helps me to overcome that challenge.
And as a follow-up question, what was your greatest accomplishment so far?
Greatest accomplishment was having 3 daughters, and I have 4 grandkids.
Oh, well, they're always, that's a good accomplishment. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but you know, but on the other foot of it, that my greatest accomplishment is being able to show minorities that if you stay focused in life, don't ever let anyone tell you that you cannot accomplish anything in life. You just don't let people take away your knowledge, your education, or your goal to do what you need to do. You're going to hit some road bumps, but hey, you can get it done. So my greatest accomplishment is being able to overcome and overcame and became the clerk of the courts.
Perseverance.
Yes.
All right, Wayne.
Okay, Ms. Foreman, what is the budget of the Office of the Clerk of Courts, and how many employees do you oversee?
I have 4 courthouses, and there's 686 employees, because we had about 750, but within the last 3 years, we had a lot of people that retired, and a lot of people, you know, either left our office because they went to another job because they wanted more money, which I understand. So those 686, 4 courthouses, and the budget for 1920 is 41 million, and about approximately 790,000 of that is jury.
Okay. How would you assess your performance as the Clerk of Courts since being elected in 2016?
Since 2016, when I came into office, a lot of changes has been made. A lot of my accomplishment, I changed the website immediately, which gave the public easy access to obtain information. The technology department is on the rise. You know, we got into the AI, artificial intelligence. Now we're going into the robotic processing. We came up with plans on how people can make payments without coming to the office. You can go to AMSCOT and you can make certain payments to your tickets and to your fines and to your fees. We have Operation Greenlight. Operation Greenlight means that if your your license is in collection, I will waive the 35%. Those are the fees that I can waive, is collection fees. Take it out of collection, pay it in full, or you can go on a payment plan. We also collaborated with the state attorney's office, which had never been done in the past, with the seal and expungement. You can have a lot of records, but you can only get one sealed or expunged. And we always tell them to choose the evil of all of them and have that particular record sealed. And when we do this, it's a process, and everything that is being done through that process is free. You get a chance to get your record pulled. You get a chance to talk to attorneys to see what's going on with your record. Then you get your fingerprints done for free. And then you'll be able to come to the clerk side and be able to get a certified copy for free. So once you are eligible for all of that, you will receive a brown envelope. That brown envelope will have everything in it for you to send off to FDLE in order for that, that seal or that expungement to happen. Also collaborated with the chief judge in reference to the DL clinic, which means DL clinic, if you have a problem with your driver's license being suspended or you have fines, court costs attached to that, and you cannot pay, there are 3 judges that sits on the bench. We collaborate, all of us, the clerk's office and the judges. The person comes in, get registered, they go see a judge. That particular judge will either reduce your fees or they will waive everything unless you have restitution that you have to pay back. Let's say you stole something from someone or you broke somebody's window or whatever. You have to pay that restitution back. They will not waive that at all because that is your responsibility to pay whoever you owe until you go, get down to $0. So those are some of the accomplishments that, we've had. I've held passport days. I've had a passport office put at the main location, which had never been there. We did all of the guidelines by the federal government, so you can come down there and get your passports. As well as we have marriages there as well. I did a human trafficking seminar, which had never been done there because I advocate against human trafficking. So for the past 2 years, I've had where you can, if you're an attorney, you can get CE credits. So I have this human trafficking seminar every 2 years. So there's a lot of accomplishments that I've made since I've been there. I'm sure you may have heard people on the outside that, the morale is low. No, the morale is up. The employees love working there. And I speak to my employees. I see them, well, before this COVID, I would visit each courthouse and just to say hello, how y'all doing, or whatever the case may be. The first year I was there, they had a Christmas party that they had never had before. So I was listening as I was running to be the clerk of the court, to get in there to make sure that I would be able to do the things that that was told to me, as well as telephone inquiry. A lot of people said, well, when we call, we don't get anyone. No one answered the phone. If you call my office at 954-831-6565, you will get someone to answer the phone every single time. It'll put you into a queue because we only have so many telephone inquiry employees. The number again is 954-831-6565. So that's just a few of my accomplishments that I've made since I've been in the office.
Okay, and just a follow-up to what you were saying about the records online. Currently, do the clerk of court's office make available older records? I know certain records, I'm not for sure, but the law established like 7 to 10 years they can be kept, but are a lot of the older records available for free to be viewed right now?
Well, a lot of the records they're not really free, especially if you go online and you request it and you're able to get it. There's a fee attached to that. Okay. But if you come downtown and go to our archives department, because I even seen records that went back all the way to 1925. And those records were available at our archives because we have a warehouse that's have a lot of records. And if they are available, yes, you can get them. But if they're not available, that means that they had been destroyed.
Okay. Thank you, Daryl.
Is your office responsible for sending out summons for jury duty?
Yes, we are.
And the reason I ask, because a lot of times when I go to jury duty, and I look around the courtroom and I see African Americans in the courtroom, but when it's time to pick a panel, a lot of those African Americans are excused for whatever reason. And I once asked the judge, I was like, why aren't there, when these jury panels get picked, there are like maybe all white people on the jury, maybe one Hispanic and one black. And I asked him, I was like, well, why is that? How could that be allowed to, to happen? And he was like, well, black people don't come to jury duty. So I want to ask you, is the system that you all use there, is that through the driver's license, or do you send out summons through send out the summons through the driver's license? I should say.
Okay, the jurors are when you have to come to jury duty, your license number dropped through DMSV. The driver's license is the one that chooses who is going to get a summons. Once that list drops, my department, the jury employees, they take that list and then they started, making the summons. And that's how everyone who gets a jury summon they get it because your driver's license dropped and we got a list.
So what if if you send out these summons, is there any way that you know that they received it, or you just send it out and hopefully it makes it where it's supposed to go? What if they don't respond to the summons? Do you just keep sending them out?
No. If they don't respond, then we'll let the judge know, the chief judge, how many of those that never responded. So that just goes into a pile, I guess, because once that driver's license drops, then, if they don't answer the first summon now, let me back up. If they don't answer the first summon, we will send them a second one because maybe it went to a wrong address or maybe they didn't pick it up. Then if they don't answer after the second time around, then we will keep moving forward and we'll send out more because the DLs, the driver's license, it constantly keeps dropping. It constantly keeps dropping. And then we'll just move forward.
Are there any real sanctions against someone not?
It's supposed to be. You're supposed to be fined $100 a day for not showing up. But that's up to the chief judge.
Right. Because I hear a lot of people say that they just take them and throw them in the garbage,
They probably do, right. But we never know. We never know. Only thing that the jury room, my staff does is just send them out. Right. And hopefully, people will come. And there are times when we do get 300 or 400 people on a Monday and a Tuesday because our Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays are our heaviest days. So when, for the past 2-3 years, I've been going by every morning and saying good morning to the jurors on a Monday and a Tuesday.
I remember seeing you.
Okay, thank you. And I would just come in and say, hi, how you doing? And thank you for serving, and even asking if there's any veterans there and, to thank them and give them a hand clap, because, they served our country. But hopefully, we would get people. But now since this COVID hit, we're trying to find ways and means of doing it differently and interviewing them through a Zoom of some sort. So the chief judge is trying to work that out on how we can do that, because right now, I think until October, they will not have any type of trials, jury trials at all.
Wow.
So right now we're just sitting, even though the driver's license keeps dropping. We just keep sitting. Yeah, and we're holding and just waiting.
Well, that's a good thing that you do. You come by and you recognize the brave men and women that, fought for our country, at home and overseas. So I like that you come in and acknowledge those people. So that's a good thing. And I hope you continue doing that.
Thank you. So do I.
Wayne?
Yes, Ms. Foreman. Can you explain the dispute with the public defender's office that they are owed over $12 million by the clerk's office?
No, that is not true. That is something that goes way back, way before me. And when I became the clerk and it was brought to my attention that this is what's happening, this was old, we started doing what we needed to do. So we're just not holding our hands. We're not sitting on it. So right now, as we went along, we was asking the public defender's office to send us the proof that they said that they have, that we owed them the 12 million. So they could never send us that proof. So we do have an outside auditor that is able to come into our office to do whatever needs to be done. So we're slowly working on that. But I saw an article in the Sun Sentinel by the person who's running for the public defender. He said, well, you know, I don't think it's 12 million anymore, but I can identify 2 million. So which is it, 12 or 2? So, but we're working on it. It's not, we the clerks, we are working on it. And we're not sitting on it. And anything and anything that anyone asks us to do within our statutory duties, and someone say, well, maybe you need to change a little bit of this, maybe you need to change a little bit of that, we jump on it to see if we can. Mm-hmm. There's not one person that has ever asked me to do something within the statutes that I said I couldn't do and wouldn't do. Now, there are people that have asked me to do things that was wrong, and I said no to that.
Good for you. Don't do anything unethical.
I will not break anything that's unethical like that when they're breaking the law, no, I will not do. That is not who Brenda Foreman is. I stand up for what is right and what is true, and I will continue to do that.
And a follow-up question to what you're saying about being ethical. Is there anything, because we ask candidates this, some, you know, just hopefully they don't get in and you know, just take it personal, but is there anything that happened to you that, like a secret or something that you wouldn't want no one to know or you would be embarrassed about?
No, sir.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Yeah,
I'm an open book only to those that ask me a question personally, you know, but there's nothing that I have ever done in my life that I have never said. When I was running in 2016, there was some question that the Sun Sentinel asked me about my past with drugs and stuff like that. I've never even smoked the marijuana. So I don't even know what it tastes like or smell like. You know, they ask questions in reference, have you ever, you know, been arrested? Well, who haven't? You know, being a young teenager, you know, you do some stupid stuff. But, you know, but that is just something, there's nothing in my life that I cannot, if you ask me the question, I'm going to answer it because there's nothing that is hidden, nothing.
Okay. And a follow-up to that too, what you were just saying, I read where in 1979, you were a victim of I believe they were called the river cops at that time.
That's right.
The corrupt cops. And I remember just reading that you were a victim of that. From that happening to you in 1979, do you think the system is broken from that experience in your life to a lot what you see right now? Do you think the system is broken?
What I saw back during 1979, and it was a false arrest. But because of what they were doing, and if you were not born in 1979, but if you knew people that lived in Miami and knew what was happening then, they would tell you that a lot of Black men and women were losing their life, or you couldn't find them because of the Miami River cops, because they wanted to kill Blacks off, and this is what they were doing. So now I don't see too much of a difference. A lot of the stuff that they was doing then, because they didn't have a camera, they got away with it. Now people are videoing you and the cops and what they're doing now, so people can see what they're doing, so they can't get away with it. It's the same thing. One era didn't have a camera, and now we do.
And I saw where you said you were very terrified when they were talking about taking you behind a building and killing you. And I know
sir.
That had to be very terrifying. And I'm
it
old
was.
Remember, I'm 53, and I can remember Arthur McDuffie being brutally beaten, pulled, you know, off of his motorcycle and being brutally beaten at that time. So I'm old enough to remember, you know, how Miami was and how corrupt Miami was back in the days.
Absolutely.
Much has changed since then, but I, you know, I'm a Floridian, so I have a very good memory and a very good history of things that have occurred here.
Right. So, you know, yes, I fear for my life. And at that point in time, I started praying because I knew there's a God. I knew there was a God. I knew there was a God that I would pray that these men would not take me behind this particular, and they stopped. They literally stopped at this particular building and say, we're going to do this. And I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying. And they got a call on the radio that they needed to come to some place, whatever it was. And that's the only thing at that point in time saved my life.
No, that was God right there.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And that is the reason why when I talk it, I walk it when it comes to God. And I tell people, until you walked in my shoes, you don't know what it's like to have that relationship with God, where he have saved your life over and over and over again. Yes, it was God.
Okay, thank you, Daryl.
Well, we're certainly glad that you're okay and nothing ever happened to you. So, Ms. Foreman, what is your method for ensuring that all court records stay up to date?
Our records stays up to date because once all these records come in, you know, whatever the judge sentencing is and whatever the fees and the fines and the court costs, they're recorded and everything is actually online. You can actually get your records, you know, look at, if you want to get it, there's maybe a fee to it. But if you just want to view it, you can view it. So everything is online. Now you may have some old records that may not be online, but you can still get them because we do have them in boxes. The only records that you can't get is juvenile and some probate. If you're not part of the record, you would never, ever get that record. But we have the IT department that makes sure that our records are secured. Anybody can view them, they can pay to get them, but they will continue to be secured no matter what going forward in the future. There's no way that anyone can, I'm praying to God that no one will break into it, you know, cybersecurity, cyberspace, and, you know, to get the records and try to hold them hostage and, you know, that we got to pay for them. But right now we have a great IT department and we do have people that's on it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. That's on top of it. I mean, they, you know, whoever is on call between, let's say 12 and 6 a.m., that person is up watching our records. So we have our IT department, they're on it. They're on it constantly. Like I said, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
And can you have those records emailed to you?
That's the first question that has ever been asked of me when it's about being emailed.
Because I know that my brother Wayne and we put in a lot of public records requests from different from different cities, and we always ask them to email the records, and
if I'm not mistaken,
to let us know.
Right. If I'm not mistaken, my general counsel handles my public records request. And I think most of the things that she handles, she will email it back once the payment comes in, or if the person asks to be mailed. Now, there may be some records that's too thick and too many files on it. We have to put it on a disk for you. But once it's paid for, we can send it out. But if I'm not mistaken, yes. But the question has never been asked of me. But I think we are able to email those records to you.
Right, and we knew a certain guy up here that he pulled public records all the time, and he even took his personal cell phone in with the camera, and he took pictures of it, and it was allowed. There was no fee attached to it because he used his own.
Because he took his cell phone. Camera. Yeah, exactly.
Is that allowed through the clerk of the courts?
Yes, but we're watching you. We have people around you watching you. Absolutely. To make sure what you're looking at and what you want, and not something different. But yes, because it's on your cell phone and we're not making copies for you, we're not sending anything to you or anything like that. Yes, you can definitely do that.
Okay. That's all I have, Wayne. If you have another question.
Yeah, I have a few more. Have you received any campaign money from police unions?
No, because a lot of them feel and think that you have to have a college degree. And so no one, as far as a lot of these unions and stuff, has endorsed me. in reference to that particular way, but they'll never tell you that. But if you do your research, you'll see.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask you too. Can you at least name some of the endorsements you have received so far?
Well, there's only one, and the one that I did receive, well, maybe two, but I haven't received it. The Pompano Beach Christian Clergy Council. If you ever heard of them.
I never heard of them before.
Yeah, Pompano Beach Christian Clergy Council.
Okay.
So there's no others, and I'm just looking forward to the votes that, because when I first ran the first time, I was not endorsed by anyone.
Okay. And one final question, and this will close it out. In this political climate, I always feel like I have to ask, do you believe President Donald Trump is a racist?
Do I have to answer that?
I would like to know. I'd like to know kind of where people stand at.
I think Donald Trump is a little bit of everything. Me personally, watching him, some of the things that he tweets about, how he handles things, he'll say that he's not a racist, but it's his action that he did in the past. And then if he wants things to look like he's not a racist, he will bring African Americans in it. He'll bring another race into it and say, see, I'm not racist. I'm using them. I'm letting them do this. I'm letting them do that. But somewhere deep down in his heart, I really think the man do not like black people, whether he's racist or not. But I really think that he doesn't like black people, regardless of what he says and how he does it.
Okay, that was the answer I was looking for, because I remember one of his most famous campaign lines back in 2016 when he saw the African-American man in the audience and he said, look at my African-American over there.
So, I try not to say too much of anything negative about that man, because I never know who's around me, who's listening to me. And I do not want to get into no argument about another human being.
Right. Thank you very much.
And I know what you mean. I don't ever discuss politics either, because at the end of the day, this person is still going to have their beliefs and I'm still going to have mine. So, nothing ever gets settled. So,
yeah.
Absolutely.
You just don't discuss politics.
I really try not to, because when you're in the grocery store and you stand around people and people hearing you just say something to somebody, and then they'll turn around and they'll look at you like, what did you just say about him? And then, oh my God, here come an argument. And I try to shut it down. That's why I don't talk about politics when I'm in public, and especially around a lot of people.
Right.
Okay, Ms. Foreman, you have the floor. Tell the people and the voters of Broward County why we should re-elect you clerk of the courts in Broward County, Florida.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Yes, I'm Brenda Foreman, and I'm asking for your vote to re-elect me as your Broward County Clerk of Courts. When I came into being your Clerk of Court, January of 2017, everything that was asked of me to do, and I was able to do it, I did it. I stayed humble, because a title is just a title. A lot of people like titles, but with this being the Broward County Clerk of Courts, I'm here to help people. And anyone who has ever seen me and have ever talked with me or have ever been around me when I'm in the public, they will know that I'm all about helping the people. And I have shown that I will help the community by doing the DL workshop, by holding the Operation Greenlight, by doing the things with the state attorney's office where you can seal in your records or whatever the case may be, by having a passport office, by being able to go into the public and speak to everyone, letting them know what our office does. So by that happening, I will continue to do that. I will continue to build up on my IT department for making sure that all of the records are kept, and there, we have cybersecurity around it, and nothing is going to go wrong with it. We're going to do artificial intelligence. We're going to continue to do the robotic processing, where if you e-file your paperwork and we have robotic processing, you can get your case number back within 24 hours or less. So, these are some of the things that I've done and I will continue to do. I also have an outreach department with just some of the employees, and these employees, And it's not clerk dollars. We do not take clerk dollars to give back to any community or anyone. We got together, we started building, selling coffee, donuts, and stuff like that, continental breakfast, you know, to the public on certain days of the week before the COVID happened. And we raised a lot of money, and we gave back to St. Jude's. We gave money back to Homes, HOMES. We gave money to Pace Center for Girls, Relay for Life, Susan G. Komen. And the reason why I do that with the Relay for Life and Susan G. Komen, because I have a daughter, my second daughter was hit with breast cancer. She's a 4-year survivor now. Yes, she's a 4-year survivor. And I give back to breast cancer. And even before that happened, I used to give to breast cancer because a lot of women get it and we don't know, and men as well. So I try to give back to places where it helps other people. And also, you know, gave back to Albert Wilson Foundation. Albert Wilson is a Miami Dolphin football player. And, you know, he has an organization that helps homeless children or those kids that need a place to go. So those are just some of the areas that I gave back to help out with the communities. And because I have children, I have grandchildren that's growing up. So I would want someone to help my grandkids as well. So I give back to that. So by me being the clerk of the court, I want to continue to be your clerk of the court to bring even more exciting ideas. If someone come to me with an idea that we can do within our statures, we're going to look into it to see if we can do it. So this is the reason why I'm running to retain my seat, only because my record has spoken for itself. No other reason but for me to stay and continue to do what I have to do for the community, because I'm for everybody. Minorities and anyone else that comes into our system, I'm there for them. So I'm asking Broward County or whoever's listening to this podcast, vote Brenda Foreman back into office. August 8th through the 16th is early voting. August 18th is election day. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Brenda Foreman, she's running for re-election for the Broward County Clerk of the Courts. Good luck to you. We wish you the very best and in health. And we're so glad to hear that your daughter is a cancer survivor. I'm a cancer survivor myself. And I've been through it myself, and we're still here for a reason. And
amen.
Amen. So thank you for taking out the time to come and stop by the Adams Brothers podcast. And when you get reelected, don't forget to come back by and talk to us.
Oh, I'm not going to forget now. You know, like I told you, Wayne, what I was going to do. Trust what I said. It will happen. It will happen.
And we want you to come back. We don't want you to be a stranger. We want you to come back. Any programs you get that can benefit everyone in Broward County, please come back. By all means, come back and stop by and tell us. You have an open forum here. We're giving you that. We're promising you that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much, Daryl and Wayne. I want to get my message out there, and I'm glad that you guys asked me to be a part of this, because by me not raising a lot of funds, you don't know how to get your message out there. So, but thank you for being, one of the ones, that did it. So, another radio station did it. Big Man Cali, he did it for me. So I'm trying to get it out there to let people know that I have a heart of gold. And I am the type of person that do not do anything to wish any harm or do any harm to anyone just because. That is just not who I am.
Brenda Foreman, Clerk of the Courts, Broward County, seeking re-election. Good luck to you, ma'am. And thank you again for stopping by the Adams Brothers podcast, and have a great evening.
Y'all do the same.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.